Here comes Milwaukee. Forbes another three. Oh, no! This is the Random Scrub Heat Podcast.
Welcome one, welcome all to a very special episode of the Random Scrub Heat Podcast on the final day in the waning hours of Black History Month. We welcome on the chairman of the Kang Gang, Ricky J. Marc, to join me, LG Cascon, your host as always, Hot Take Harrison, and the Thunder from Down Under. Ricky, thank you so much for joining us and making your long-awaited debut onto the Random Scrub Heat Podcast. How do you feel?
I feel vindicated, justified. It's about time. It's ironic that on a day that technically doesn't exist for most of the time during the decade, that I would show up here, that I would be granted an invitation to diversify your ranks. I'm just glad I can contribute to the ending of racism around the world.
That's fantastic, and it's well said, because like you said, February should have been over already, right?
Wow, that's crazy. Hold on. Wait a minute.
Bonus day.
Wow. Wait a minute.
It's bonus.
It seems like you happy that this month is almost over.
I'm happy that we got a bonus day. It's the exact opposite.
Oh, okay.
So you thought that's a whole 180. You thought we were 360 and we're stopping halfway. You got it flip-flopped.
That's great.
I'm happy we have a bonus day. The same way that I'm happy that the Miami Heat have won 9 of their last 11 games. Look at that segue. That's called a segue, ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching on the YouTube or you're just listening on your phone. It's time for the recap. We've done the recap in a little bit, right?
I wanted to point out something very quickly before you keep going, LJ.
Oh, no, Shirley, go right ahead.
I'm just going to interrupt. That's because that's what I do. But if those of you who cannot join us with the aid of video today, LJ is sporting a pickleball club oversized green and white jumper today.
You got a problem?
It looks terrible.
Good thing my fashion sense isn't directed directly towards what George likes.
We need to change it. It's too big.
It's a look.
It's too big.
It's comfy.
Hey, yo.
It's oversized, and then there's what this is.
You're not going to be critiquing another man's wardrobe in front of Ricky J. Marc. I'll tell you that right now. Yep. Call it.
Terrible.
Nope.
Get rid
That's
of it.
crazy.
Resume.
That's crazy, George. That's crazy.
Yeah, watch it, George. We don't need to be out of pocket in the first 2. See, it's 3 minutes. We haven't talked basketball thanks to George. I'm going to change that right now. Last episode, I was upset that the Heat did not stand up for their players against the Boston Celtics. They sure stood up for their players against New Orleans. This is our first pod since the All-Star break, since games resumed after the All-Star break, I should say. And the Heat, they heard what I said, and they stood up for one another. Granted, standing up for Jimmy Butler, the heart and soul, the leader of your team, is a little bit different than Duncan Robinson, but the point remains, it fits my narrative. I'm going to roll with it. They've actually stood up for themselves against every team since the All-Star break, actually being undefeated as we're recording right now while they are down by 2 to the Denver Nuggets. So game withstanding, prior to this, they were undefeated before the All-Star break. That does include a tough Kings team where Miami was undermanned, but that's like a Patton and Spo sicko game. We all saw that coming. They had a whole bunch of players suspended from the New Orleans fiasco, which was also a good win in of itself. New Orleans and the Kings back-to-back, those are 2 really good Western Conference playoff teams that are going to be in there in the playoffs, whether it be playing or out of the play-in. They're both out of the play-in right now. Those are good wins. On the road against the Kings, without Jimmy Butler, Bam took over. Bam had a great game. I know Sabonis had a blah, blah, an eye roll, triple-double, whatever. They're empty stats to me. I'm not a fan of Sabonis. I'm not going to tippy-toe around that. I'm not going to pussyfoot around. I just wanted to see Ricky's eyes roll up as soon as I said it. Those in the YouTube, more reason to watch the YouTube. You'll see Ricky's reaction to that. But then they played, so they not slouches, right? New Orleans and Sacramento on the road, good teams. Then you play this other team's championship. I say that because Portland doesn't really know what a championship is supposed to be. They don't. They played Joe Cronin, his team. They had him in the first half. They had me in the first half. I had a list of tweets ready, locked and loaded, but they didn't. They withstood the storm, But however, I will say this. Allow me to read a verse from my Blazer Bible, if you will. And it goes, through it all, Cronin told himself, eliminate the emotion, the frustration, the fatigue, and most of all, Cronin implored upon himself, don't settle. Do not let yourself settle. That's verse 413 of Chronolitions. That man is a fucking Oompa Loompa. He is disgusting. I'm happy that they lost in the fashion they did. I'm happy that we got to hear Let's Go Heat chants take over that arena. And before we attend to that segue that I just said with the Oompa Loompa remark, how do you guys feel that the Heat have been playing lately? Because is it all smoke and mirrors for you, or is it really feeding into the, well, it's put up or shut up time? Things are getting tight in the Eastern Conference race. The Heat have climbed up to 5th within a game or two of 4th. What we kind of talked about on last week's episode. Ricky, I want to start with you. Are you buying into the momentum that the Heat are currently on, or is it just kind of, roll the eyes, shrug the shoulders to you?
Give me one good reason why I should buy into the same thing, the same movie that we see every single year since LeBron James left this franchise. I mean, of course we're going to see this. Just when you think this team is going to bottom out, and become a lottery team, they go on a streak that makes it hard for them to compete for a potentially franchise-changing player in the draft. And then they get just good enough to end up in the play-in, where if they climb through the rounds, it's obviously a difficult path. And through some miracle, it happens. It's not because they're inherently greater. It's just for whatever reason, the basketball gods are delighting in this sort of thing. I mean, they gave us LeBron James for 4 years. So I guess it's them collecting on that debt. And so it's just like, all right, yeah, you're going to get him for 4 years. He's going to go back home and then LA and win a couple more championships. But we're going to have you become basically a treadmill team, a glorified treadmill team every year until your front office decides to actually make a home run play. And until that happens, have fun threatening to play in the play-in every year and calling it culture. I mean, go for it.
And culture it is. I also wanted to set the stage as well before we hear from Harry and George on this topic. I forgot to say, as I mentioned, they are playing Denver and they are undefeated, are the Heat, since the All-Star break. A loss in Denver doesn't count to me. I'm not counting it as a loss because you're going to lose in Denver 10 times out of 10 if you're the Miami Heat. That's the way it's been, for it has been written that way. That is how it shall play out. And that's just, you have to accept that. That is reality. Accept it. Harry, I want to go to you now. How do you feel about the recent stretch of Miami Heat basketball? Doing anything for you?
I mean, it's an impressive bounce back for them because, we were kind of like, that 7-game losing streak was pretty horrendous. So the fact that a lot of the success has come on the road, the Heat are a pretty good road team this year. I think that's been helpful to what they're trying to do. The defense has been great. That's kind of really been the turnaround for them. The defense has been really, really good during this stretch. I think I saw, we're probably going to jinx it now. It won't happen tonight, but I think they had held like 14 straight opponents under their scoring average in 14 straight games. So I saw that. I think that was a stat from Leif Sylvander earlier. So
number one defense as well in the league
they've been,
in that stretch.
Listen, this is going to be their bread and butter. We're not expecting this team to score a ton of points. They're not built to like run people out of the gym. They're built to kind of like make them uncomfortable, force them into tough shots, and then, do enough to win the game. So if you would have asked me what they needed to do on this road trip, and again, this is stretching back to a little before the All-Star break, I would have said 4-2. So, even if they don't get the W tonight and they're 5-1, it's been a good trip. And they have the opportunity to, try to get as far up the standings as they can. I'm not sure where it makes the most sense for them, but avoiding the plan, I think, is important. I don't know why people think repeating last year would be a good thing. Like, just like the last 2 seasons, this Heat team is kind of. It's not just that they haven't matched up well with the team they lost to last, which is usually why you lose, but they've gotten tired. This is an older team. They're depending on Jimmy Butler to do things that he's been able to do for a series or two, but either hasn't stayed healthy or just is not able to do that for 3 or 4 series, and asking someone to be superhuman for that many series at his age is kind of just an unlikely thing. So I feel better about the prospects of, like, I was saying this on a Spaces with Royal. It was I think it was yesterday. Like, I'm not really worried about anybody in the East. Like, I think that he can beat anybody in the East. But in terms of, like, winning it all, and I still feel the same. Like, it's gonna be, it's gonna be cut short again, unfortunately. And it's just kind of like, it's easier to watch the games now if the team's playing well. Obviously, like, if Jimmy, if it's Jim VP time and, Bam's playing well and they have a starting lineup that they can trust and depend on, which basically at this point it just means that Duncan Robinson's in it because they've been successful when he's started.
What a turnaround that is for you to say, though. Okay,
Yeah,
like, just turn the calendar back 1 year, and that would have been blasphemy out of your mouth. Now it's just true.
Well, okay, let me speak on that for a minute, because I was getting a lot of, like, kind of people were trying to rehash my Duncan take, something that I had never said. So essentially, like, all I said was Duncan Robinson, the deal they gave him, that the Heat gave him 5 years, $90 million, at the time the largest undrafted free agent contract ever, was a bad trade. And, like, that's all I'd said. That it just, like, was not a bad contract. And it was. For 2 seasons, Duncan Robinson was virtually unplayable at a time when the Heat were close to contending, and he was replaced by Max Strus, who was an undrafted free agent, making 1/7 of his contract. So those things happen. He wasn't good for 2 years. So the fact that he's suddenly either both playable or, like, the Heat's most dependable player or possibly most improved this season, like, whatever you want to, all the things he's done well this year are true. I don't see where it takes away from, like, the point I was trying to make. And so Twitter is confusing to have arguments. People argue whatever they want without listening to the points that are being made. But
Gasp.
I know, but I don't think I was wrong about what I said about him. He was replaced by Max Strus,
And he was bad. Like, it's
was-
okay to realize that from when you said it, it was accurate information because his game had not evolved. He evolved his game, and we finally saw that evolution late in the postseason last year, and now throughout this entirety of this season. He changed his game. So he's a different player now. So it's like, oh, look at that. He got better. He actually honed his craft and improved and added elements to his game that were not there, that made him that one-dimensional player that was worthy of criticism. And now that kind of, it's like life isn't a flat line. It's like, it's very intricate, and players can change and adapt.
Yeah.
Well, Harry, let me ask you a question real quick.
Yeah.
You said that a lot of these wins have been coming on the road, right? Well, wouldn't you play better at venues where the fans actually are in their seats by tip-off?
I mean, Miami's always going to have an issue with, like, I don't know, man. I live in Palm Beach County, so getting down to a game, like, if we're not taking a public transit is terrible. Not that I'm late per se, but I'm just saying, like, I get it. Yeah, I mean,
traffic, LA's cataclysmic. I mean,
yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe there's, like, a better, like, the Heat culture, quote unquote, is like this us against the world thing. So maybe that's just where they've been, like, a weird home team. It's very, like, hit or miss. Like, you remember 2 seasons ago against the Celtics, that they lost 3 home games against them in which they got eliminated, and one, obviously they lost Game 7 at home. So
not even LeBron could make them show up on time. If you go back and you look through Getty images, you'll see LeBron, like, in 2013 when they were winning like 60 plus. You see him at the start of the first quarter, a sea of red in the lower bowl. It's like, nice.
Yeah, I think it's more. It's just like it's a cultural thing because I think like I had a stretch of going to games back then. Like I think I saw like 25 games over a 3-year stretch where the Heat never lost.
Mm.
And so I'm just like randomly picking games, and that's how good they were with LeBron. They just like rarely lost at home.
I missed those there.
And yeah, so it's just like it's just a different perspective. But I think I don't know, I just get frustrated with like all this. You deal with fans who are like, you can critique the team, you can critique the coach. Like I think Spo's one of the best. He makes mistakes. So people who were like, Spo doesn't make mistakes, but he should have played Duncan Robinson. It's just like, hey man, like he did what he thought was the best thing for the team. The guy wasn't performing up to the level they needed him to. And they sat him down for 2 years. So now that he's good and they need him because really they don't have another guy that can basically provide the gravity, provide the shooting, provide the cutting that he's been doing for them. Like, yes, now they need him. Now he's good. And now I can admit that he's not trash, but like he was bad. And I think that's kind of like, I think that's an overarching like macro issue with this team is that they've had opportunities to make moves. They've sat on their hands and they thought they had enough. And they didn't. They
until
lost.
recently, yeah.
Right. So now it's like now they make a move because they were almost like they were forced to kind of with both like where the CBA and where the tax and where these things are going next year and how bad Lowry was both on the court and as a teammate personality for them. Like they were forced into a move. And so now you're like, great, they made a move, they had to do it, but also why didn't we do this 2 years ago? And so that's where when you ask me like, how do I feel? Listen, man, I want to be able to watch the games and not get frustrated. So I'm working on that personally. But in terms of like, do I feel much better about them, their chances of winning it all? No, because I still think the same issues. I still think they have matchup issues with some of the better teams. And I think
Speaking of that right now,
Yeah.
I just watched them put Orlando Robinson on Jokic. So that the fact that Orlando Robinson's in the game in and of itself is despicable. There's really no word in the English language that can describe what him being on the floor in a meaningful game against the Denver Nuggets. It doesn't exist.
Culture.
And the fact that they're letting him guard Jokic, the best player in the world. Hey, man, I said this game didn't count, and I'm standing by it. George, how do you feel? You look absolutely defeated, demoralized. I don't know.
I'm watching the game live, and it's
So that explains it.
It's utter stupidity, is what it is. They play with they don't look like they want to be there. They don't look like they want to play. They want to go like Bam every time he doesn't get a call for him or gets a call against him. Is just throwing his arms around, just upset, tired. He just looks like a big baby, and it's annoying. But I don't know. Is it growing pains? Is the fact that they've been on the road for so long? Is it what could it be? Honestly, like you're getting. I don't know, maybe it's just an off game for him. The whole team looks disinterested, which has been the story of the Heat much of the season.
What are they going to grow into? Let's play with this growing pains theory. What are they going to grow into? Something better than this with this roster? I don't.
A lot of them are young. They got to mesh. We got to give them 80, 90 games to mesh.
I love
that's fair.
37% from the field and 31 from three. Like that's. Can we go into a team that shoots 42% from the field? Is that a possibility? I don't know. We'd be winning the game if we did, but.
Oh, so instead of the 8th seed, the 7th seed.
We're the 5th seed, which we're going to slide down to the 7th seed again. Good times.
You're only a half game out of the 5th seed where you were sitting before this game started.
Meanwhile,
but now,
the Garden.
I want to shift focus a little bit.
The Garden's in a worse spot than the Heat.
Who is?
I can't even lie anymore. I can't even lie and say that's true because it's just very untrue. I said the Garden is in a worse spot than the Heat.
Bold.
And I might just be talking about the stadiums. I'm not talking about the state of the team or the state of the draft picks.
Okay.
Or anything else.
what we're gonna do now, I feel like we all kind of want to talk about this, or at least we can educate George on it. I'd be amiss if we didn't speak about the incident in Glasgow. Just an absolute travesty. Highway robbery. Just mentally scarred children. I'm of course talking about the Willy Wonka Experience. Now you see, George, do you know anything about the Willy Wonka Experience?
I have no clue what you're talking about.
Yeah. Okay. Harry, do you want to get the lay of the land here? You want to kind of paint a picture?
Sure. I've been following the story on Twitter for, I think, a few days now. Essentially, they sent out flyers in Glasgow. They were like, come to this interactive Willy Wonka experience. They did like an AI poster. It looked magical, a way to get the kids to come and enjoy their day, bring their parents. I think they charge like £35, which is a lot.
45 American dollars.
Yeah, 45 American dollars.
It's not that much for a ticket. Is it for a movie?
No. So essentially, it was like they rented out a warehouse, and there was like a dude they hired to play Willy Wonka. He said the script was like 15 pages of AI gibberish. A poor Scottish woman who's become like, they've all kind of become infamous now because
the Oompa Loompa herself has become a very sympathetic character. In all this.
She was an Oompa Loompa, and I saw she kind of spoke for 2 minutes on her Instagram or whatever. She was, just trying to make the kids happy because this experience had nothing. They gave kids like a couple jelly beans and a glass of lemonade. There was like nothing there. It looked like an abandoned like mini golf course is kind of like what it looked like. And then you have obviously videos of the parents who are like, this is insane, but trying to have a good time for their kids. So it was just like a big ripoff. Wait, hold on. LJ, did you see the actual AI poster with like just words that made no sense on them?
Sweet teats. Sweet teats. That's right, Ricky. You heard that correctly. They were advertising sweet teats.
Treats.
That's what they meant to say. It's not what it said. Okay. So that's a bit of the picture for you guys, for our listeners. They sold a dream and delivered a nightmare to these children. And that's not even the scariest part. The scariest part was that you're walking through this experience. You see, a Walter White Oompa Loompa cooking crystal meth in front of children. What you've seen, if you've seen a picture of it, that's the picture you've seen, is the Oompa Loompa sitting there with puffs of smoke around her and scientific laboratory equipment on the desk. And it's beyond anything that I could. It's really cool that children get their own Fyre Fest. That's really funny to me that children get their own Fyre Fest now. The craziest part was in the script, because it's AI generated, like Harry said. They created a villain, an antagonist, if you will, for this event. And his name is the Unknown. He is this sickeningly disturbing looking creature. Silver mask, long flowing hair, and he lives in the walls. How do you get an antagonist if you type into an AI generated script to be like, Willy Wonka, right? Write a script for the Chocolate Factory. How do you get an antagonist? That's the picture. For our viewers on YouTube, this is a reason to go watch on YouTube. This is the picture. That's the meth-dealing Oompa Loompa. She
Come with me, and you'll be...
Yeah, that's the thing. If you the only thing I can think about to justify an antagonist being in this event is the 1 second scene in the actual original Willy Wonka where they're driving in the boat, right, on the Chocolate River, and it all gets dark and scary and everything, and Wonka scares the kids. That's the closest thing to a real antagonist you get in the movie. And they have this character live in the walls, and it's like a walkabout like exhibit. So you're walking constantly, and the Unknown jumps out and would scare the children. Like it's Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Studios. Why the fuck are you scaring your 5 to 7 year old audience? On top of all that, the actors, God bless them, They're not at fault for this. They haven't even gotten paid. The actors haven't even gotten paid for their services. It was highway robbery of the highest regard now. And it's George, I want to know your thoughts because this is the first you're hearing about this. What comes to mind?
Why? But like, it's just one quick. It's one word. It's why. Why would this ever be necessary? The movie's over, isn't it? The Willy Wonka Experience should have come out when the Willy Wonka movie came out, which is like a month and a half ago.
Yeah, but they're gonna make more Willy Wonka movies because they're not creative and they're just gonna keep. They can't come up and this is.
That's a peek behind the curtain.
I've just seen the unknown. I've just seen the unknown, by the way, and it looks like the guy. What's the guy's name who has his own podcast? Old Rock, the super misogynistic guy.
You lost me.
Pick
And
one.
he's like he has his but he has his own podcast, man. I'm like,
Pick one.
fuck.
We have our own podcast, George. You trying to say something?
Yes, you.
Oh man,
You're the
I look
misogyny.
like the unknown.
I
You are
respect
the
women,
unknown.
America. Don't just. I respect women.
It's true. He does.
This is
Vouch.
It's true.
Ricky, how do you feel? Were you familiar with the Willy Wonka Experience before tonight?
No, just the movie and the musical that came out the other day, starring Timothy Chalamet, and apparently a black woman whose descendants must have been eradicated before the original movie, because I don't remember seeing them. Do you? I don't remember that. That's what's so weird about, when you diversify prequels because you want to be, modern. It's like, it begs the question, what happened to them? Like, was there a war? Like, what? I don't know. Anyways, no, I don't know anything about this. I'm horrified. I don't feel safe. And my thoughts and prayers to the all those black families that just mysteriously vanished from.
You could say the same about Star Wars too.
Oh yeah, what's his name? He was supposed to be a Jedi, but a bunch of losers got triggered and force sensitivity and all
What
that.
Finn
Never
was
mind.
supposed to be.
Never mind.
We were promised retribution.
I mean, I ship him and that the girl that got bullied off of Instagram, the one in the third
Rose.
movie,
Rose.
Yeah.
Rose. Man, I ship them heavy. That don't get me started.
Are we really
I'm
about to
getting
sit here?
emotional.
I'm sorry. Are we really about to sit here and defend Rose as a character?
I
Is
thought
that
she was
what's happening?
cute. That's all. I mean,
Her character
ship-
is fucking stupid.
that's great. That's great. I still ship them. I thought she was cute.
Hot
That's
dog
all I gotta
shit.
say.
It was hot
Yeah, I
dog
think-
shit. There's no
life.
50-50 about it. There's no retribution for that. There's no defending it. The writing
if
was
you-
poor. It was fucking disgusting.
I think if you want to talk about the issue with the newer Star Wars trilogy, is basically like you had one guy start it, a different guy come in and do the middle movie, and then the guy who probably should stop having access to writing stuff. He's not good at his job.
His mystery box.
Oh,
theory
like
is
when
falling.
Ray and the bad guy kissed. Like what
Yeah.
was? I remember standing up in the theater, like, really?
I can tell you why.
Really?
I have a good explanation for that.
Adam Driver.
Vibes.
No, because somehow Palpatine returned.
Somehow Palpatine. The best line in the
That's how-
history of the sequels. Somehow Palpatine has returned.
That's
Burn
my
it all at
favorite
that
line
point.
in
The
Burn
this
it all.
cinema
history.
sins, I think, glitched when that happened. I'm pretty sure.
You want to
it
talk
glitched.
about an AI script getting generated? Look at the fucking Star Wars sequel
Or-
trilogy.
Wonder Woman 1984?
I know Royal feels that way.
I think. I thought this. I thought this Willy Wonka Experience is a good analogy to the Heat because
Oh, do tell. I'm interested.
I think like all fans are all over the place. Ricky kind of alluded to there being like a ton of road fans the last few games. There were a lot of "Let's Go Heat" chants in Portland, in Sacramento. Like Heat fans travel pretty well, so you got people coming in spending their money. But I don't think this team has really like lived up to the hype of what they were trying to do. Right? Like I think what's frustrated me most about this team is like they've had a guy play at the top of his game in the postseason and Jimmy Butler, and they haven't done enough to give him help. They brought in like AI generated script and method
Trevor Ariza.
And it's not their fault, right? It's not it's not their fault that they're not good enough to provide, what you need to have a really immersive Willy Wonka experience. But if you're not going to spend the money and you're not going to get like actual props and you're not going to get actual guys that fit around your stars.
And if you're going to pay all that money, if you expect the fans to pay that money to come see your product in the finals, and all you get is a towel, aka one singular jelly bean and a cup of lemonade, give them T-shirts, give them chocolate. You went to a chocolate factory. Chocolate.
Say chocolate again.
Chocolate.
Yeah, it's just, I think that's kind of like, I think that's why we get frustrated and we're like, we want to put out content for you guys. We want to talk about this team, and like winning 9 of 11 after a 7-game losing streak is impressive, and the way they bounce back, and it's about to be 9 of 12, but still fine. But it's just like, man, they've had a golden opportunity, a golden ticket, if you will.
Hey now.
To kind of make this work and put this together, and it just seems like they've missed opportunities. They've let other teams get better. They've let other teams acquire players that could have helped them. And, like, we'll be looking around. Listen, it's not what we want to be doing, and we're happy to be wrong if we are. But we'll be looking around in May and being like, what could have been, like 5 years into this thing. And it's just, it's just a bit frustrating, like, because I thought there were like opportunities to build, to trade, to acquire enough assets so that, like, what I don't like happening at the end of these series is being like, oh, you know what, we didn't have enough to win, like, right? That's how we all felt after the Denver series. It wasn't like something happened or we had like a horrific injury or something. Like, we didn't have enough outside of our big, Jimmy and Bam to win. And it wouldn't have mattered if Tyler Hero was out there either. Like, they didn't have the right squad to make it happen. And so they've made some improvements around the margin, but I feel the same way again. Like, I don't think anyone's beaten Denver. And it's just like, could they have made enough moves? Maybe. And so I think we're just kind of sitting here like, what can they do to get better? And there's not anything they can do this year anymore. So it is what it is.
You know what this reminds me of, Harry? Oh my God.
I can't hear you. They're selling chocolate. They're selling chocolate. Yeah. Chocolate. I remember when they first invented chocolate.
So,
sweet,
wow.
Sweet chocolate.
That's horrifying. I have in my hands a stick of deodorant. And not only is this deodorant, it's also called antiperspirant, right? It's designed to keep you from stanking. Now, here's the thing. At some point, if you don't take a bath, this isn't going to help. This is going to cover up the stank for a while, but eventually it's going to stank so bad, this will just add to the stank, and you'll eventually chase people away from you. Me personally, I try not to stank on people, so I bathe regularly. And I put this on, when I wake up and I go out and I spritz myself and I have a good time. I enjoy myself playing in the snow. And it's a matter of practice, right? It's a matter of practice, right? You know what this is for. You cannot use this for everything, though. This cannot be a substitute for, good hygiene. It's something that you supplement your hygiene with, but it's not a replacement for bathing, especially when you have access to running water and all that other fun stuff. But this concludes the deodorant section of this here podcast. Harry, are you in? Never mind. I'm not going to ask.
Yeah. I'm in bed. I told you guys I was fading pre-pod.
Pat Riley cosplay. This is what this is.
See, you know what? That's fair. I was going to give you a card for that, but I'm going to leave that alone.
No, he got it.
Wait. Do you actually have a yellow and red card with you?
Yeah, of course I do.
He keeps it. It's in his wallet right
Do
there.
you even watch? Do you watch football?
Really?
Soccer.
Really?
Soccer.
I watch football.
Soccer.
I watch football. I watch footy. Okay, and
Cricket.
I even watch rugby, union, not league, because I'm a civilized person.
Good man.
That said, I do firmly believe that the rugby codes of league and rugby should be fused at some point because, I mean, come on, it's one league. I mean, not league, but it's one sport. The similarities are enough to where the average viewer won't notice the difference. Let's make it one code. Let's make it a global sport. HSBC 7s are happening in LA this weekend, available on NBC. What is it? Peacock? Yeah, Peacock.
It's on the cock.
It's hey. That's
Is it not?
mhm,
All right, yellow because it's a factual statement.
I can't let that slide. That's crazy.
He'd write his name on it.
No, rugby really is a fun sport to watch. It's awesome. It's great, and the women are awesome.
Where's my yellow card?
That's for what? For what? Supporting women's sports?
No, no, it was the twinkle in your eye when you touched on the sex.
I don't like that word. I don't like that word.
All right, well,
I don't like that word.
I like getting back on topic of the Miami Heat podcast for just ever so slightly, because it's kind of a lull of the season that we're in now. They're in the home stretch, really, like the last 20-something games.
Or a lull?
What the fuck did you just say to me?
A lull or a lull?
A lull, not a laugh out loud. You
A
fucking
lollipop or a lull?
Why am I
A quiet
entertaining this?
period of
Okay,
time.
the question that I'm posing to you guys is what's the starting five that you want to see? Because the starting five in Portland last night is what we all have kind of wanted. Didn't start so well. Really started well in the second half of that Portland game. What are you guys looking at, taking into consideration that everybody's healthy? Because for me, it's Terry, Duncan, Jimmy, Nico for the regular season, and then bam. Because Miami, when you look at the numbers, Harry, you tweeted it out that they're on a 62 win pace with Duncan Robinson starting. That's a number that you can't exactly ignore, right?
Yeah, they're on a 62 win pace with Duncan starting, 64 win pace when he plays more than 30 minutes. Like he's just kind of he's been their engine this year. So there's just no reason to continue to deny it. Like, I'm not sure what their issue is with, they want Hero to be a guy he isn't. But at this point, we've seen Hero play his best when he's off the bench. He's on the team. So have him come off the bench. He's played more confident. So I like that lineup too. And even if it ends up losing tonight, I think that's got to be the lineup. Because then you basically, if the five you mentioned are the starters, and Nico's numbers have been really good. So, like, regardless of what you think of him going forward in the playoffs, like his net rating's been great for the team this year. Like, just play him. The numbers are good. The defense has been better this year. So let him play. And then you're bringing basically some combination of Hero, Jaime, DeLon right now, Caleb, and Kevin Love off the bench. That's a very good 10 guys. Like, and you don't have to really, I don't think you have to worry about anyone's role in that scenario. But the fact that like Hero will come back in 2 weeks from an injury that supposedly wasn't a big deal, and they'll push him back into the starting lineup, and whether they bench Duncan again and try to make the Rozier Hero thing does not work. We were all worried about that when it happened.
It's ugly. Like it just it doesn't just not work. It is like torture.
Listen, if the offensive cohesion of a backcourt worked, but the defense wasn't great, you'd say, "Oh, okay, they're working on it." But it's like their cohesion together doesn't work, and they're not good defenders together. So it's like, how are you helping the team at all with that as the backcourt? And
so you're saying the D is weak?
It's yes, of course, you know this. Like, it's a weak D.
No, you insinuated. Insinuated.
Come on,
I don't care. I set you up and you took the bait. You should be ashamed of yourself.
Yeah, I mean, Paul, it's a factual statement. So I just think that, like, that's it. LJ, it has to be Duncan has to start. He's the starting two. So pick your guy, Rozier or Hero. We both agree it should be Rozier. And then I like those three, Jimmy, Bam, and Nico, and just make that work. And if they want to swap the postseason and put in a different four I think it's one of those things that would probably switch series to series, honestly. Like, I think it would be matchup dependent who they want in there. But, like,
Nico works well against Milwaukee, too.
and he works because he works well with Bam. You've always needed a guy next to Bam who can stretch the floor, who can shoot the three. And with Nico, it's just you like his size because he's a dude who came into the league, his height, whatever you want to say. Like, he came into the league at 6'9". He's like 6'11" now. He's figuring out kind of how to defend, how to use his length, his girth, if you will.
Nice.
So yeah, I just think like he's a guy they should probably use more of, and he'll probably play the regular season, and then we'll never see him again.
That poor man is not stepping foot on the basketball court in the playoffs.
Yeah, but you're right, LJ. That's the 5 I want, and I'd like to hear what the other guys think. About
Ricky has a proclamation, I see. So please tell us your starting 5, Ricky. I'd like to know.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Starting five. Okay. 2005 Chauncey Billups.
I wasn't specific. This is my fault.
Yeah, there you go. You see what you did? Congratulations. Yeah, 2005 Chauncey Billups won a championship, knows what it takes to get there. At the 5,
He's getting
we'll
there?
go with... Huh?
You said
What?
never nothing.
At the 5, I'll go with Tyson Chandler, 2011.
I see where this is going.
Power forward,
Dylanello Gallinari.
not a chance. Christopher Wesson Bosch, 2014, before the blood clots. Understands what his role is, understands what he needs to do from deep, and isn't really concerned about anything besides winning. Small forward, LeBron Raymond James, 2013, at the absolute peak of his powers. And at the 2, I'll say 2008 Mike Miller. Pretty young, shooting about, I think, 50% from the field and close to that from
Is he on the Magic?
No. He wasn't on I think he was on the Grizzlies at that time.
The Grizzlies in 2008. I know he went back to the Grizzlies after
either the Grizzlies or the Wizards, because at that point his hair started growing out. So
Wizards.
basically, what you're dealing with Chauncey at the 1, Mike at the 2, Braun at the 3, Chris Bosh at the 4, Tyson Chandler at the 5, and yeah, we're having a good time. Or that's lineup 1. Lineup number 2, I'd say 2016. No.
What about for the Heat right now? Which 5 would you?
Harry
play?
said he saw this bit go on long enough.
Oh, all right.
Present day Heat.
I would. So assuming everyone's healthy and mentally focused and everything like that, I would say Terry Rozier at the 1, Duncan Robinson at the 2, Jimmy Butler at the 3, my son at the 4, Bam at the 5. And then
So what me and Harry said.
Yeah, everybody else you bring off the bench. Because from what I understand, I don't know, it might have been you, Harry, that either tweeted, retweeted, posted, or said this somewhere. But if I'm not mistaken, Terry Rozier does very well in terms of either screen and roll or pick and roll. One of the two.
Yeah, he was like the second most efficient pick and roll player this season when he was on Charlotte.
So when it comes to stuff like that, I think that could really open things up, not just for Bam, but possible positionless rotation of the other 3 guys on the floor that could really cause problems for the defense. I think that's something that once everyone gets in rhythm and realizes what they're capable of in terms of playing with one another and understanding what each person does, I think that'll be a lineup that could surprise some people, actually. Not this year, maybe next year, but either way, they're going to have to get better.
I was going to go to George here, but
George was offended by my takes.
He's here.
By my energy, and it happens.
Around for the next 5 minutes. There is some commotion outside my house. I'd like to go check it out. If it's a fight, I'd like to celebrate because there's nothing interesting that's happened in this country for about 5 years. So this will be the
has it been 5 years since the last massive Australian wildfire?
Oh, God.
No, it was the attack of the Wallabies last time.
Oh, I should have remembered that.
was exciting. But yes,
All right. Okay. Well, I was going to go to you to see what your
lineups.
starting five was.
My starting five is the same as it was tonight. That doesn't change. If you input Tyler Hero off the bench on this team, they become a night and day difference. Night and day difference to what they are today. You'll be most likely watching this. No, you will definitely be watching this after the Denver game. And what you would have seen is a team that was lacking confidence, lacking any sort of polish on their shot, no speed. It was horrible. Now, you input somebody who can easily get you 22 off the bench in Tyler Hero because he is a tremendous scorer. He is a talented scorer. That's not the issue with him. He doesn't play defense. He shoots at inopportune times. He doesn't know when to pass to open players enough. He doesn't do it. He doesn't do enough. Okay, but if you take him off the bench, that kind of mitigates the damage he can do. That negatively affects the team. Because you choose when he goes in. The points of time where you need a bucket, you can put him in, and that's completely fine. The problem is, I look at this team and say, unless he's willing to take a lesser role for the team, it's just not going to work. And it's just broken record, harping on about it for the last 8 weeks. It's the same shit, different day. It just needs to happen. Something needs to happen. You see what happens with Duncan when he goes off the bench. He's not as efficient. He doesn't do as much. He doesn't feel the need or the urgency to play up to a certain point. But he plays tremendously well when he starts. Tyler Hero won a literal fucking award for coming off the bench. A literal
He played
award
his best basketball of his career.
Off the bench. Now, I don't care. I do not care about your legacy. I don't care about your ego. I don't care about how much money you make. I don't care. I want the team to win. That's the only thing I care about. Fuck the agendas. Fuck everything like that. You are better off the bench. Start doing it. I forgot who it was yesterday. Someone said, no, it was a Terra Rozier, and I quote, said, I will do anything it takes to come off the bench. To get this team wins. I will do anything to be a winning type of player. That is the type of mentality you need to have a championship team. Look at what Denver did last year. You had KCP and Bruce Brown have probably one of the most impactful series from any Denver player. Those two were killing it from start to finish. They accepted lesser roles. They did their jobs well. Even someone like Christian Braun, who plays for them, who got drafted 2 years ago.
He had a great series.
Good defense, plays very good defense, does whatever his team needs to do. Same with Aaron Gordon. Aaron Gordon was a starter on Orlando. He's starting here, but doesn't have the sort of hype. He's not a first option. He's not even a second option. He's not even a third option. He fights for shots with Michael Porter Jr. because there's Jamal Murray and PJ and Nikola Jokic for him. Sacrifices need to be made to win a championship. I don't care about your fucking ego. If you have such a problem with it, please leave. Don't sign an extension here next time. Get the hell out of here. Go play for Charlotte. Take 30 shots a game. I don't care. Go to the Rockets. Do what Jalen Green did tonight and shoot the ball 24 times. And even though you lost, it doesn't matter.
24 times.
Yeah, well, you know what? Do it every night. You know what I mean? Shoot the ball 29 times from now on. Keep going. Just don't do it on my team.
I think that's actually it's really well said, honestly. I think it was you, George, that brought it up last time, that quote that Tyler had where he said, I'm paraphrasing, obviously, but it was along the lines of like, I don't love what do you call it? Like what he was being asked to do, but it worked. So he's going to keep doing it. Or he was asked to take less shots. It was like, I don't like doing that or whatever. Obviously I'm paraphrasing. I don't remember what he really said.
He complains about the lack of opportunity for him. He complained about it. He's like no. He complained about the closing lineup. I actually like the other lineup better. You know, it was better for me, he said. I don't care if it's better for you. No one cares if it's better for you. It's not about you. It's just constant stupidity.
I like that, honestly. Like that's one of the best well said points you've had on this podcast, admittedly. Final thing before we go here, I want to talk about the standings, a little standings watch now. We touched on it a little bit earlier. I wanted to get a gauge on your guys' feelings here that Miami has, what is it? Harry, is it the second or the third easiest schedule remaining?
Third easiest.
Third easiest schedule remaining. And now with Denver already being gone now, I mean, that might be a little tick easier. We'll see what happens. But do you guys think that they can legitimately vie for like the 4 seed even? Because the Knicks, Ricky's not going to like this. minus that win that they got by the hands of the officials against Detroit, I guess it made up for them getting robbed against Houston. But the Knicks are in a little bit of disarray because a lot of their really good players are out with injury, probably until the end of the regular season with about, 24 games remaining now. Can the Heat make a push for that 4 seed? Harry, we'll start with you. We'll let Ricky wrap on this point. I want him to wrap it up on this point. I want him to be the last one we hear from.
Yeah, I mean, they can. Obviously, they're close enough where they can make that move. 4 through 8 is like really compact in the East. I think if the Heat end up losing this game against Denver tonight, they'll actually drop to 8th. Like that's how close it is. So, like, yeah, of course it's possible. Knowing this team and knowing like how snake bitten they've been with injuries and stuff, like I think you got to split the baby. It'd be much more realistic for them to finish at like 6. That's an expression, Ricky. Like you split the baby.
Solomon. I know my history.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I know, but you looked at me so strange. Like
that's violent.
That's because all I heard was the baby. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. No, that's a rapper.
Let's go.
But
let's go.
Yeah. No. So I think I think like of course they can do it. I just think like the Knicks are in a bit of a struggle, but the truth is I think they'll probably figure it out. They're just once Brunson gets back, they'll kind of get it together. I think Heat will end up finishing around 5th or 6th. I think the 4th seed's a little, a bit like everything would have to go their way, and it just hasn't been like that in a while. So that's kind of why I say it's not that likely.
All right. Well, I wanted to go to George on this for Ricky to have the last say here, but George continues to jump in and out. So George isn't going to get a say. Ricky, I want to hear from you. Do you think the Knicks can hang on to that 4 seed, or do you think Miami has a little bit of an opening?
First of all, Knicks in 6. That's 2. That's 1. Second,
have you had any history that shows you that you can rely on the Knicks to win in 6 games in the playoffs?
Eat me. Now, here's the thing.
Wait, what?
I think we're at a point now where the Eastern Conference is so volatile at this moment that it could be anyone's conference. Being the 4th seed or the 1st seed or the 3rd or the 8th or the 5th doesn't mean that you're necessarily doomed to the ending that being in that position generally suggests. I say this because the Knicks made a few key trades not long after losing Mitchell Robinson and some other guys to injury. They are on pace to get those guys back relatively soon. I'm actually very optimistic about seeing both Randall, who I'm obviously not very high on, and Robinson back this season with actually enough time remaining to get everything together, jive, and make some noise in the playoffs, especially if they play the Cavs again, which will be hilarious. It reminds me in a way of the 1999 lockout shortened season, where the Knicks were actually better than their seed suggested. They just had some injury issues throughout the year that caused them to slip down to 8th, but they weren't really an 8th seed. They were much higher than that, and it just so happened that they were an 8th seed, and they ran into their classic foil in the first round, and then ended up just sweeping the Hawks. I'm sure Harry remembers that vividly. I'm not too worried. I think it is going to be a tough stretch, especially if Brunson is hurt, because he's been playing like an MVP this season. If you compare the stats to certain MVP winners in the past, especially legends in the past, especially at this juncture in their respective careers, he's in the room. He's in the room. But I will say this, while I'm not too concerned, anything can happen. Now for Miami, I think I predicted before the season started that they would be a 6th seed. I think I'm going to lean more in that direction. And I know Harry mentioned that I think it's like the 3rd easiest schedule. With a team like this, that doesn't mean anything. Just because they have the 3rd easiest schedule doesn't mean that they're not going to give themselves a hard time and drop a bunch of games to teams that they otherwise should beat, because that's just the way this team is. The easy option is never what they opt in favor of. So all in all, I think you're probably going to see both the Knicks and the Heat in the playoffs. And who knows, we might even get either a play-in or a first-round matchup for the both of them. That would be really fun. I look forward to a potential situation like that happening. And like I said before, Knicks in 6. Eat it.
I will say that we talked about it last week too, and I said I probably don't want to play the Knicks in the first round because I'm not worried about beating them. I'm worried about being very deteriorated after that series because that would be a physical series. It was George. I don't know what you're shaking your head for. Jimmy Butler got injured in that series.
The Heat are down 2.
Down 2 with
8 seconds left. And Jokic literally got fouled in the backcourt and has been arguing for the last 5 minutes to the ref that he was shooting a full court shot.
He was.
Okay.
Who fouled him?
He should have gotten this 3 free throws.
Who fouled him?
I think it was Rozier.
He's the MVP.
Good call.
But it's why the Nuggets have also been doing this thing the whole fourth quarter where the ball rolls up the court and they have just been like letting it roll to milk more time off the clock. I don't know if they do that like all the time because I don't watch a ton of Nuggets games. I probably should because that's very entertaining basketball. But that's so pussy. That is such a pussy thing to do. That's like 2K levels of garbage that they're doing. But
I used to do that in 2K.
Yeah, they're not.
Shot the ball 1 of 8 tonight from 3.
They're not going to win this. They're not going to win this game now that Jokic hit those free throws. And
no. Plus, hey, I'm on record of saying it already. Loss doesn't count. It's in Denver.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty bad offensive performance by the team all around. I'm going to pull up the
good defensive performance though.
Yeah, they did a good job. Holding Jokic to 6 of 15 is very good, but they let Michael Porter Jr. go off. It's just this is a tough matchup for the Heat and
for size mainly. That they're no bigger than they were last year. Pause, Ricky. I know you know it. It's difficult because they're going to get dismantled in the paint. Michael Porter Jr. is going to be able to shoot from outside. Aaron Gordon gets all the rebounds inside. Jokic is Jokic.
Yeah, Gordon, I think they don't talk about this a lot because it's like his role has obviously been reduced in Denver, but like the Aaron Gordon traded for them was so good. That's like exactly who they needed next to Jokic. And
absolute robbery.
They transformed him though. They transformed him into the player that they needed. Not that he could
That's
be.
The best player that he can be too. Like in that role, he's so useful.
No, but you know what? He could be like a Paolo Banchero, like that sort of thing. He could have assumed that role and played that sort of play. Paolo Banchero, I don't think people realize how bad of a shooter Paolo Banchero actually is. I don't think people really understand how bad of a shooter he is. But that was Aaron Gordon too. Aaron Gordon had massive problems sitting down the 3 in Orlando. Came to Denver, limited his chances, but made him work on defense, put him right next to Jokic, was able to get easy shots, was the best version of himself. You're right. It was the best version of himself as a player in his career in the NBA. But I love seeing a player go somewhere and be like, you know what? I'm a great player. I'm going to be a really, really good player, but I'm going to be the player that this team needs now. You know what I mean? I
will say this though. It goes without saying, but I'll say it anyway. You like this? This isn't a terrible loss, too, because again, it's Denver. The Heat never play well in Denver. It's a close game against a good team. It's kind of a barometer game, if we're being honest. They played well on this road trip against a couple really nice teams. You go to Denver. Granted, they're the second night of a back-to-back, so you would have liked to see better offensive execution from the Heat. But you lose by 4 points to the Nuggets? Last 4.6 seconds withstanding. That's not a terrible loss. They're a great team. I still think they're probably one of the best teams out west. They've done it in the playoffs now. They have that experience. It's going to be tough. Like we said earlier, I'm not going to bet on the Clippers to get that stank off of them because once you got that stank, it's tough to get it off of you. And that organization has had it throughout their entire history. So I don't know. With that being said, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Ricky, thank you so much for making your long-awaited debut on the Random Scrub Heat podcast. We appreciate it. We will have you on again. We'll have Royal on again sometime soon, I'm sure. Harry, thank you. George, thank you. Rick, you want to add something?
Oh, so you had a black guy on here.
Over the summer, yeah.
Huh. Weird.
It was a movie pod. We talked about the worst sequels with Royal.
What? Oh, yeah, right.
They kicked me off for
the night where it was like after midnight. And you were like, hey, let's come take a podcast at like midnight when.
What time is it right now, Ricky?
Good citizens are supposed to be sleeping.
And you're awake right now?
Well, no, but I got something to do after this.
All right. You little devil, you. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We appreciate it. Take care. Be good people. Play the video, Harry.
Need a stop and a rebound. Fournier for three.
That was the Random Scrub Heat podcast.